The NFC East is always the most competitive division in football. Not the best, but most competitive. Every year, you've either got 3 teams making a playoff push, winning 10 plus games, or you've got an 8 and 9 team somehow winning the division and making it to the playoffs. We're going to be predicting the record of every team in the NFC East today, starting things off with the lowly New York Giants. Now, I've been very vocal about this. I think the Giants are going to be one of, if not the worst teams in football next year. The only saving grace they have is their front 7. After that, the team is rough. They've lost their offensive identity. Malik Neighbors is going to be stuck playing with Daniel Jones, one of the worst starting quarterbacks in football. Dable Snake Oil ran out a long time ago. This team is going to struggle. They're going to have injury issues thanks to the MetLife turf, and it's going to be a mess from start to finish. I've got them going 3-13-1 with a dynamic Week 10 tie in Charlotte against the Carolina Panthers. This is not a good team. This is not a mediocre team. This is a terrible team. They will be completely defeated in their division. The table will be run on them, and it's going to be a sad state of affairs. Certainly Daniel Jones is gone, if not the coaching staff. Silver lining, you get the first overall pick and get to move on with Carson Beck. But the Giants are going to be terrible in 2024.
This is a team where people are going to say I'm crazy for having them winning as many games as I do, and Giants fans out there that have convinced themselves that the combination of Daniel Jones and Malik Neighbors is going to make a playoff push because they found a way to win 6 games last year. I don't think either of those things are going to happen. People who are saying they're going to for sure be the worst team in the NFL, I think they're a little crazy, and people who think they're going to make a playoff push, equally crazy. When you take a look at their roster, people are going to harp on, as Isaiah just did, the fact Saquon Barkley is not in the building. But I think with his departure and some of the changes that they've made, it'll mean more to that offense that they added an elite receiving threat in Malik Neighbors in the draft. They took Devin Singletary in free agency, Tyrone Tracy, who they added in the 5th round. That combination of having someone who can actually beat you down the field that they did not have last season, and having a competent backfield with solid threats at tight end, with having a healthy or better quarterback situation, that's going to be better than the 3rd worst scoring offense in the NFL last season. It is going to be hard to be worse than what that offense was last year. And on the defensive side of the ball, they actually have I need to finish. I let you go. I'm finishing. On the defensive side of the ball, they actually have a pass rusher that can win on his own. They did not have that last season. Azeez Ojulari, Tibbs, he got 10 sacks. I know Giants fans love to throw that out there. He was not winning his one-on-one matchups snap in and snap out. So now that you have Brian Burns, that's something the defense did not have last year. They have the best nose tackle in the NFL who generates a pass rush better than any other nose tackle in the NFL. So their defense will be solid. They are going to win some games, but they're still not a great team. They still don't have all of the pieces in place. I have them winning 6 games. I don't think they're going to be the worst team in the NFL. They have more cohesiveness, I think, heading into this season, and more pieces this season that they didn't have last season that really hurt them last year.
Yeah, the only cohesiveness they have is everyone in that locker room hates Daniel Jones. You gotta be kind of stupid if you think the addition of 2 rookie wide receivers and a running back who is going to be rushing by a much worse offensive line of the Giants than he was with the Texans is going to somehow make their offense
2
better.
rookie wide receivers.
Who did they draft in the 5th round?
That's a running back.
Excuse me. A rookie wide receiver, a rookie running back, and a running back who's going to be behind a much worse offensive line. I'm sorry, you're out of your mind. If possible.
How is the offensive line much worse when Andrew Thomas presumably is healthy heading into this season?
A much worse offense. I'll cut the line part. It's going to be about the same offensive line. Also, the idea that Andrew Thomas is some elite tackle after 1 good season, comedic notion. They've lost the one part of their offense which consistently produced, which put pressure on opposing defenses, which had to be game planned against. Defenses are now going to be able to focus in on the passing attack, not much of an attack, and the relatively ineffective running game. You don't have anyone who can create separation out of the backfield, go outside. You've got to try and go with the middle with Devin Singletary, slow, methodical. Not going to happen. Interior line, not good enough. Tackles probably can't hold up against the pass rush when you try and stretch the field. Certainly the right tackle can. This team is going to have the worst offense in football. I really can't think of a single offense which will be worse. Can you name one?
They're not going to have the worst offense in football.
Can you name an offense which will be worse?
I don't think there's I don't know how I would rank the 15 worst offenses in the NFL.
Well, I know who I'd rank as the worst offense in football. It'd be the Giants.
You just predicted them to be the worst team in the NFL. But I think when you go from an offense where your best receiver was Darius Slayton on the outside, who was not exactly someone who scared defenses. He did not strike fear into them. He's only 750 yards a year, but now you have Malik Neighbors who can win at that level, and you have a very competent running back in Devin Singletary who's always averaged over 4.5 yards a carry each season in his career. There might be 4.3 in there. Could be wrong about that, but he has always been very solid. And then you have Tyrone Tracy, who in his 1 year as a running back in college averaged, I think, over 6 yards a carry, and he was very good out of the backfield as a receiver because that was his first position. So I am not saying the Giants are going to make a playoff push or they're even going to finish better than last in their division, but they're going to win at least 5 games, somewhere from 5 to 7 games. I have them at 6.
We are going to revisit this 2 months into the season when the Giants are still fighting for that first win.
Sweating already.
Amusingly enough, the 3 wins I have them getting are against the Ravens, Bengals, and Colts, which 2 of those teams are making the playoffs. I assume you think the Colts are going to make it too. So I've at least got them beating good teams somehow. But this is
They're
the worst.
Smoking the Vikings week 1.
That's cute. This is the worst offense in football, and it's going to cost people their jobs. Moving on over to the Commanders. And you can say what you want about Jayden Daniels being an old rookie, having injury concerns, yada, 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 yada. At the end of the day, with what they have got around him, where they have upgraded their offensive line, where they have upgraded their receivers, this offense is going to be much more effective than it was in 2023 with Sam Howell. It's a better situation. I think that is going to be how they win games because their defense, even though they've brought in veterans, is going to be atrocious. I don't have them winning many games. I don't have them sniffing the playoffs unless it is a phenomenal offensive rookie of the year level performance. They're not even going to get close to 500 in Washington. I've got them going 6-11. Beating the Giants twice will pad their stats a little bit, but this is fundamentally a bad team still with very big noticeable holes. They're not getting Brandon Ayuk, by the way. I think it's important to point that out. There's a lot of buzz about him going to Washington for some reason. That's not happening.
Well, I think for both of us, if they swung a trade for Brandon Ayuk, that may add 2 wins, at least 1 win to our record prediction. Certainly would help Jayden Daniels in his quest for possibly being Rookie of the Year. But I feel very similarly about the Commanders that you do. They have a brand new head coach. They have a whole new situation. They have a new quarterback. Everything's new in the Commanders as Dan Quinn tries to establish a new culture, winning culture, different from what we've seen over the last however many seasons. So with that,
it can't be a worse culture.
Exactly. It can't be worse than what it was. So with those things taken into consideration, I think it is inevitable that they are better than the 3 wins we saw last year. They did not add a ton of talent in free agency. I mean, you did add Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz to the building.
Cam Akers.
They did add Cam Akers.
Okay, you and everyone else on Twitter who likes to hate on fantasy football needs to give up the Cam Akers hate. He's a very effective receiving back.
He'll be like the 4th back on their depth chart.
No, he won't. It's going to be him and Brian Robinson.
You mean Austin Eckler?
Austin Eckler, man, that's what I was. For some reason, I always get Austin Eckler and Cam Akers confused. I guess
Cam Akers? He's not on the Commanders, is he? He's got his 4th Achilles replacement.
Man, whichever one of the LA running backs people absolutely despise is currently a Commander.
It's Austin
Eckler, there you go. Maybe Austin Eckler isn't that
They
good.
added a lot of veterans to that team, which maybe are going to be a key part in building that culture, but they still don't have an overly talented defense. Maybe Dan Quinn's excellence on defense fixes some of those things, but I have them also going 6-11. I think they're going to double their win total from last year, but they're going to lose some games with new head coaching staff. Not all of the talent in the world, but they'll be solid.
I think we're both being optimistic about Jayden Daniels here. If Jayden Daniels isn't good relatively early in his career, this is going to be up there with the Giants for the worst team in football. They're going to win 3 games again. This is all dependent on an old rookie quarterback being functional early in his career.
Well, that goes for them. That goes for the Patriots. I would say the Bears, but the Bears have a very good
the Patriots
defense.
aren't going to start Drake May, though. Surely not.
You never know.
Next up, America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, where nobody has been paid yet. Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, will they be on the team after this year? Who knows? But they're here now, and they're rolling forward with it. And the Cowboys are a high-end, talented team. They've got a good offensive line. They've got big-name players. Their defense has some holes in it, areas to improve. I know their cornerbacks get a lot of interceptions. They also give up a lot of yards. At the end of the day, though, I think there's bad juju in the building. There's limited faith from ownership that this team can get it done. The refusal to pay people is not a good sign. That does not lead to inspired performances, particularly when all these guys know they can get their money elsewhere if need be. This is going to be Dak's final season. It's going to end in the playoffs in the first round, or maybe the divisional at best if things really go their way. And it's going to see them winning 10 games, which, good record, fine team, but it's not going to be the Super Bowl the Cowboys fans have been dreaming of. This team will be overhyped as we move into the year and will slowly just trail back down to earth. Not good, not bad, just meh.
There's not one person that can point to the Cowboys offseason and confidently say they are a better team than they were in 2023. It is impossible. I mean, Tyron Smith is no longer on the roster. Is Tyler Guyton going to step in right away and replace that?
No.
You let Tony Pollard walk. I know he wasn't great last year, but your solution to that was Zeke, who's completely washed. There's a reason you let him go to the Patriots in the first place, and Rico Dowdle. So their running back situation is not great, but like Isaiah said, they're still going to be good because they have a top 10 quarterback, they have a top 3 to top 5 wide receiver, and they have one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, paired with a competent, especially during the regular season, head coach. So the Cowboys are going to win games, especially when they have the Commanders and Giants in their division. That's just going to be how it is. The biggest free agency signing you could point to is a 32-year-old Eric Kendricks. They're not better. I have them winning 9 games. I think at worst it's 8, at best it's 10. If they win more than 10 games, I'd be shocked.
I mean, I could see 11. 11's not that far off. At the end of the day, I think we both agree, barring some massive injuries, they are not sniffing the division title. They'd be lucky to pick off the Eagles once. Speaking of, the Philadelphia Eagles are pretty clearly the best team in this division. There's head coaching instability. There's coordinators getting turned over. At the end of the day, though, this is the most talented roster in the NFC, maybe in all of football. Great offensive line, losing Jason Kelce hurts, but you drafted accordingly in previous years. You can replace him. The addition of Saquon Barkley, aka the entire offense of the New York Giants, to your team. Massive, massive upgrade over Swift. They still have 2 elite wide receivers. They still have a quarterback who, when healthy, is a top 5 guy. I have a lot of faith in the Eagles this year, both in the regular season and the playoffs. But in the regular season, we're going to see them win 13 games. We're going to see them cruise to a division title, and we will probably see them get the first round bye unless Detroit makes some real noise in the NFC North. This is a phenomenal team, and anyone who's dying, oh, they're going to win the division, is coping.
This is one of the most star-studded teams I think we have ever seen. They have an elite quarterback, an elite running back, 2 elite wide receivers, a high-end tight end, a very good offensive line, a very young defense, which you hope is going to take a step over what they were last season, especially in the passing game. So this is an Eagles team that deserves that dream team label they received all those years ago when it was Michael Vick, Nnamdi Asomugha, and all those pieces they added. Knock on wood for Eagles fans, it's not the same result, but this is one of the most talented teams we've seen, and I could see them winning 13 games. I personally have them a little bit more on the lower end. I have them winning 11 games. I think they're going to pick up losses to the Bucks actually in week 4.
Oh wait, they add Saquon Barkley and you have them winning the same number of games as they did last season. They massively upgrade their secondary in the draft, and they're not going to squeeze one more win in a worse NFC East.
They'll lose to the Bengals. I think they're losing one to the Cowboys, the Rams, Ravens, and the Commanders are going to sneak one in week 16 where they're going to pick up a win.
I don't know, man. That feels like a bit of cope from a Giants fan.
It's
hoping
not,
for the downfall of your division rival. I'm sorry, it's not happening. It's just not. They've also got the best home field advantage in football. They will go undefeated at home this year.
I'd argue that's the Chiefs, but
it's them or it's the Chiefs. It's pretty clearly one to it. It's what Seattle used to be, but it's certainly the biggest home field advantage for the fans. They will absolutely whoop visiting crowds.
So what do you think? Is 13 that's their low end for you, or what's your low end?
13 is a very middle of the road. It's why I predict it's not, I'll pick the low end and go 13. They're going to win around 13 games. Maybe they have some injuries and drop down to 11. maybe things break exactly the right way and they get up to like 14, 15. But
Maybe
13,
the coaching staff implodes again.
I don't think that's going to happen. The coordinators they brought in are much better than the jabronis they brought in last year. Granted, hard not to be. I think I would be a pretty meaningful upgrade over the defensive situation last season, but you never know. Those are our predictions for the NFC East. Let us know why we're wrong. Are the Cowboys winning the division? Are the Giants going to sneak into the wild card spot? And is Jayden Daniels going to completely implode and lead Washington their first ever 0-17 season? If you're still here, like the video, subscribe, share it around to your friends on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, and we'll see you later.